What if the most dangerous weapon in history wasn't a sword, but a rumor? Genghis Khan was a master of psychological warfare, using systematic manipulation to turn bravery into paralyzing cowardice. Learn the secret mental dominance strategies he used to conquer Eurasia and why his name still triggers primal fear today. Section 1. The Anatomy of Orchestrated Terror. Imagine looking out from your city walls. You see a single, solitary white tent pitched on the horizon. It's peaceful, almost inviting. That was Genghis Khan's Option A. It meant surrender now, pay your taxes, and nobody has to die. But if you waited until the next day, that tent turned red. That meant every man in the city was marked for death. By day 3, the tent was black. That meant total annihilation. No one, not the women, not the children, not even the city cats, would survive. This wasn't just cruelty. It was a binary choice designed to paralyze the human brain. You weren't fighting a war. You were choosing between existence and the void. How did they know exactly how to break you? They had the world's most effective spy network. Long before the Great Khan arrived, merchants and travelers, secretly on the Mongol payroll, infiltrated your markets. They didn't just count your soldiers, they mapped your cultural fears. If a city feared demons, the Mongols played into supernatural rumors. If a city was divided by religion, they stoked those fires. Finally, they used the Silk Road as a 13th century Twitter. They intentionally allowed a few survivors to flee to the next city, knowing they would spread exaggerated, bone-chilling stories of Mongol cruelty. By the time the Mongol vanguard actually arrived, the exaggerated terror had already won half the battle. Section 2. Illusion as a weapon of war. The Mongols didn't just want to beat your army, they wanted to make you feel like you were fighting a ghost. Their most famous trick? The feigned retreat. Imagine you're an elite European knight. You see the Mongols panic and flee. You chase them for days, your heavy armor weighing you down, your formation breaking as you get cocky. Suddenly, the fleeing Mongols turn around. They aren't tired, they aren't panicked, and you've just been led into a killing pocket where fresh Mongol reserves are waiting to turn you into a pincushion. But the illusions didn't stop there. If the Great Khan was outnumbered, he'd get creative by unleashing the following. 1. The ghost soldiers. He'd order his men to mount felt dummies on their spare horses. From a distance, a scout would see an army of 100,000 when there were only 10,000. 2. The fire trick. At night, every soldier would light 5 separate campfires. To an enemy general looking down from a ridge, the valley looked like it was occupied by the entire population of Asia. 3. Dust clouds. They'd tie branches to their horses' tails to kick up massive clouds of dust, making a small raiding party look like a thundering horde. By the time you actually engaged them, your spatial awareness was shattered. You weren't fighting soldiers, you were fighting a hallucination. Section 3. The calculus of strategic brutality. There was a cold, hard math to Mongol violence. They weren't mindless killers, they were efficient ones. When a city fell, the Mongols would line up the survivors, the aristocrats, the pampered kings, and the generals. They were usually executed immediately. Why? To decapitate the social order. Without a head, the body of the resistance couldn't move. But if you were an engineer, a weaver, or a doctor, you were golden. The Mongols collected brains. They spared the people who knew how to build things, effectively turning the enemy's best minds into the Mongol R&D department. On the battlefield, this calculus took an auditory form, the whistling arrow. The sound wasn't just a signal, it was a psychological scream. These hollowed-out arrowheads made a high-pitched shriek when fired. Thousands of them flying at once created a terror landscape. It allowed commanders to synchronize mass movements without shouting, while the enemy was left trembling at a sound that signaled their imminent end. This viral fear meant that after the Mongols deleted one defiant city from the map, the next 10 cities surrendered via mail. Section 4. Mental Siege and the Collapse of Will. The most harrowing part of the Mongol machine was the mental siege. They didn't just throw rocks at your walls, they threw your own soul back at you. They used a tactic called the Karash, or living shield. They would round up prisoners from the surrounding countryside, your friends, your farmers, maybe even your cousins, and force them to lead the charge against your city walls. If you shot at the invaders, you were killing your own people. It was a psychological checkmate that broke the morale of even the bravest defenders. And if your walls held, they went biological. During the siege of Kaffa, the Mongols catapulted plague-infested corpses over the walls. They turned the city's density into its biggest weakness, transforming every home into a death trap. They also weaponized silence. Sometimes the Mongols would surround a city and just wait. No shouting, no drums, just thousands of silent warriors staring at the walls. When the violence finally came, it was so sudden and explosive that the defenders' nervous systems simply shut down. They didn't just occupy your land, they occupied your nightmares. Section 5. The Legacy of the Mongol Mindset. No, what's the takeaway? The Mongol war machine was the 13th century version of shock and awe. Long before modern militaries talked about information warfare, Genghis Khan was mastering it. He understood that physical attrition is expensive, but winning the mind of the enemy is free. However, there was a carrot to go with this brutal stick. If you surrendered, the Mongols offered something almost unheard of at the time: meritocracy and religious tolerance. They didn't care who you prayed to. They didn't care who your father was. If you were good at your job, you rose through the ranks. This created the Pax Mongolica, a period of unprecedented trade and stability. The terror was the gateway to a system that, for many, was actually better than the corrupt kings they had before. Genghis Khan didn't just build an empire, he built a psychological ecosystem that prioritized efficiency over ego. The great Khan once said, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." That is the ultimate flex in psychological warfare. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. It really helps the channel grow and keeps the history coming. What do you think? Was Genghis Khan a monster, or just the world's first great psychological strategist? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.